Pleasant good morning to you. Good morning, one and all. Welcome to this episode, Monday's episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption Incompetence. Today, Monday, the 31st day of March 2025, the last day in March 2025. Welcome, one and all. Welcome, one and all. As we will tell you once we get on, share the live, let the others know that we are on and we are going to be with you in a short while to give you the facts, to give you the real credible information. So welcome to this Monday, another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. Many persons would not have been this fortunate. We are indeed fortunate to be in the land of the living, to observe this great day, another day that the Lord has made. Share the live, and let them know that we are on. Call a friend, tell a friend that we are on this Monday, the 31st day of March, 2025. Again, I have to compliment the students, the number of students who were in the schoolyard, and you keep pleasant surprises you keep providing. And I'm glad. When we scheduled at 7 o'clock this morning, on the dot 7 o'clock this morning, there were many students in the schoolyard. And I have a message for Baled. He was here at 7. He's not listed as the first person. About 13 persons came in at 7. But a student told me yesterday that Baled is cheating. And I wanted to know why. They said Baled really is not a student. He's the caretaker for the facility. And therefore, he sleeps there, having taken care of the facility to get up and start working again early in the morning. And that is why he's always there very, very early. That is what a student said to me, Marlon. So welcome, one and all. As I said, we scheduled at 7 on the dot, and immediately students were there to enter the schoolyard. And when school doors were open a while ago, many students are in. I continue to be gratified by the number of students who are coming into this class. More and more, every episode, we are seeing more and more. We are seeing new faces all the time, which is a good thing. I told you we are going to continue to do the research. We're going to bring the credible information for you. All we ask you to do is to share, follow the page on YouTube, like the page on Facebook. Same name, Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption Incompetence. And when you come on, now, give us the thumbs up. And you're lagging in that respect. We don't get the number of thumbs up that we should get. Right now, we have close to 500 art students in, and just about 17 thumbs up. Not good enough. You got to do better than that. We are going to do our part. You have to play your part to make sure that this program becomes more and more popular, that people get the credible, valuable information. And that is what we bring to you. We have said repeatedly that they haven't challenged anything that we have said, They haven't come to debunk anything we have said, because we do research, and we tell you what you need to know. When it comes to policing, we are experienced former police officers, and therefore we know the rules, we know the law, we know the procedure. And that is what we're teaching. We're telling the young policemen, and the older ones too, exactly how things should be done. And as we have said repeatedly, in the past, we would have been given the opportunity to do this in a formal environment. But now we are persona non grata. They don't want to hear us. They don't want to hear anything about Slow or Conway. So we are no longer invited to share our knowledge, to share our experience. And the information, the knowledge we have is vital. And I know many ranks would listen. Some of them are fearful, so they're not going to listen for people to know that they're listening. But they said they learn. People have reached out to me and said, keep doing what you're doing, because we learn a lot. So yes, we're going to continue to come. We're going to continue to teach, and we're going to continue to bring you credible, valuable information. As I've said before, we have a lot of students in the schoolyard, and in keeping with the usual format, I'm going to try to fly through the roll call, and then we're going to move straight into the announcement. So here we go. The first person in, as I've said, several came in at 7, but the first listed is Kenneth from Maryland, then Peter, John, Patricia, Lester, Baled at 7 o'clock. He came in at 7 from Linden, right? But they all came in at 7. Fergus, Ulrich from West Dem came in at 7-2. Aubrey. Then it was, another Aubrey. So 2 Aubreys. Marcia Carlton, my squad mate, is here at 7. Clifton Pastor Smith came in at 7 as well. Wayne, Ezzy, the Karamrook man came in. All those forces came in at 7. And then shortly after at 7-1, there's you from Georgia, Kellan, Evelyn, Floyd, Leon from Brooklyn, Joan from New Amsterdam, Lucius from Maryland and Guyana, Orin from the UK. Then it was Claire. Derek came in at 7-1 as well. Anthony from Peters Hall, Marlon, Pauline, Barbara, Cecile, Brian, Patricia came in at 7-2, and it goes on. Carl, Sandra, Vibert 9066 Lawson, followed by Charles, BX 9407. Then Winston from California was here. Moses, Harold, Russ, Ricardo, Courtney, Brenda, Rawl 11752 is here. Puran from Essequibo Coast. Tessa I is here with us. Then it was Clive from the UK. Walterine, Anthony, Mary, Compton, Emerson, Bonita, Derek, Paulette, Wayne from the UK, Grantley, Benji from Myconi, Valerie, Morton. Then it was Ivor, ex-GNS rank. Then Clifton from Paris is here. Malcolm, Marcus, Diane, Hazel, Rosalind, Maury is here. Forbes, Hazel, Terence from Canada. Then it was Randolph. Then it was John, Denise, Elton, Steve, Queenie, Princess Earl from Lamar Springs. Pepper Goat is here with us. Gavin, Francis Skip from Melanie, Sean, Hazel, Marcus, Junior, Carol, Floyd, Ian, Jacob from Georgia, Sean from New York, Monica, O'Neill, Michael is here, Annette, Marva, Danny is with us, Selwyn, Sanjin Baird is with us again, David from Ikariku in Region 7, Matthew, Anthony, Michael Brower. Michael is from the British Virgin Islands. Roxanne, Vibert, Troy, Vashni, Esla, Father Masha is here. Dwayne is in the schoolyard. Lynette from the UK. Abera. And then it was Albert, Clarence, Siobhan, Winston is in the classroom. Jackie is here with us. Neville, Grace, Hope. Can't recall seeing this student before. Welcome. Henrik, Ivelaw, Smitty is here, 7464. Denise, the secretary. Joseph, Dexter, Vibert, Carville, Colin, 6984. Rhonda, Felicia. Then it is Keith from Barbados. Unika, Nicola, Carl, my squad mate from Arizona, is here with us. Magnell, Nigel, Colin from New Jersey. Kurt, Mortal, Colin is here from Orlando, Florida. Kerry from Maryland. I can't recall seeing the student before. Sprout Speedy is here with us. Welcome, new student. We always welcome new students. Rayburn is here. Phil, David, Malender, Pito is here, 8152. Monica, John, Kevin is here. Dion, True Guyanese, Dorette, Umi, Ronald. Then it was Heather, Isabella, Ainsworth, Mr. K is here with us. Then you have Lorraine, Siobhan, Colin, Simone, Gordon, George. Then it is Diane. Lawrence is here with us. Then after Lawrence, it is Sherman, Travis, Tuana, Doreen, my squad mate from Canada, Dion, Leon, Donna, Cheryl from New Jersey, Vernon, and Vernon is from New Jersey as well, Trevor, Rhonda Lane from Denhamstel in the house. Then it is Elizabeth, Compton, Ovid, Norbert, Barbara, Cord, Gail, Roderick, Pamela from West Dem, Rupert, and report this from England. He says, Chilo is here, Dion, Bantu King, Joyce, Andrew, R. Crawford, Mark H. Earl, Charlene is here, Valietta, Roxanne, Marlon, Tessa, Allison, Double X is here with us, 10933, Godfrey, then it was Anne, then Claude, Keon, Desiree, Nadia, Junior, Everett from Texas, Leslyn, Melville, Bernard, Delon, Boo, Alexander is here with us, Royston, Tony, Mark, Rickford, Audrey rather, Kwame was the last in the schoolyard. And then when the doors were open, as expected, as we come to expect now, Edward Charles was there, Simone came in, Joy Prince came in too, Cecile, and the list goes on and on and on. Stian is here with us. Faye is here with us as well. So yes, we have many students in. Now let me get the announcements. We have quite a few announcements as well. First, I got to remind you all that this is an election year. And in an election year, you're going to look out for all sorts of things. We're going to tell you about some of those things as the program progresses. We're going to tell you, well, look out. Election year 2025. We don't know when, but they said that it's going to be this year because it's constitutionally due this year. And I want to take this opportunity to explain Eid Mubarak greetings to all my Muslim brothers and sisters. You know, today is Eid, and Eid marks the end of the month of Ramadan. You know, during that month, the Muslim brothers would have been praying and fasting and all of that. So today is the day when, well, I think it ended yesterday, but today it is being observed. It's not a public holiday in Guyana, but my Muslim brothers, congratulations to you for coming through this holy month, and I hope all your prayers are answered. Right? So yes, it's silly season. Silly season is what we call leading up to election. Silly season. I want to take this opportunity to say happy 52nd anniversary, which is tomorrow. So they are early. So Mr. Conway and his squad mates, they joined the force. The 4th of April tomorrow will be 52 years since they joined the force. So congratulations to you and your squad mates. I know a few of them, panelists and others, are on the live. Congratulations to you. For the Christians, we are still in the Lenten period. The Lenten period runs until Good Friday, which I think is around the 18th of next month. And you're still observing the Lenten period. Now, hold on, let me just let me just think with this computer. All right, I get it back here. Right, so let me tell you too, we start with these announcements, these death announcements. Right, so we say, we told you about the death of Dale Ramsey, 11-1-17. He died some time ago. The funeral is today. I think the funeral service 12:30 today, 2:30, 12:30 to 2:40, and then it will be followed by cremation at Memorial Gardens Crematorium. So Dale Ramsey will be cremated today. The funeral service, as I said, 2:30 to 12:30. I didn't say exactly, but I suspect it's right at the chapel in the gardens there where the crematorium is. And I have an update on the funeral arrangement for Morris Nassar Jarvis. Jarvis Nassar, we told you 6305. He died some time ago. And I got information that his funeral will be on Sunday, April 6th, at the Seventh Days Adventist Church in Orange, New Jersey. So it is 270 Reynolds Terrace, Orange, New Jersey, for the funeral of the late 6305 Morris Jarvis. We knew him as Nassar. So that's that. And then we have we told you of the death of the attorney, Akil Johnson. And let me pull up Akil Johnson to give you the information on his funeral arrangement. Let me tell you one moment, just bear with me one moment, because you have lots of arrangement here. Here we go. So tomorrow night, and this is Akil Johnson, tomorrow night there'll be a night of reflection from 7 at Queens College Camp Road. Then Wednesday, the 2nd, there'll be a wake at the Girl Guides Pavilion, Brickdam, and that is from 7 p.m. And then Thursday, the 3rd of April, there will be a candlelight vigil from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the accident site, Sheriff and Dandenauer Street. And then on Friday, the 4th of April, funeral service from 11 to 12, viewing from 11 a.m. to noon, viewing at Merriman's Funeral Home. And then from 1, viewing the body at the church. That is with Restoration Life Ministries Church, Caneview Avenue, and Eros Highway. So that is a funeral arrangement for Akil Johnson, attorney at law. And the other sad announcement we have to make is that there was this 6-year-old Jeremiah Gustav, who was struck by a stray bullet sometime since July last year. He was there in Charlestown by his mother's stall. The story is that 2 men had some misunderstanding which led to gunfire, and this innocent 6-year-old was struck in the head, and it is now being reported that he passed away, I think, a day or 2 ago. Real sad. Lawless place, men shooting, Wild West shooting. This innocent youngster struck in the head, we understand, and he passed away a few days ago. I want to express condolences to the relative friends of all those persons who have passed, and pray that the good Lord will continue to give you strength to go through this very difficult time. And finally, in terms of that, well, we're going to talk about it a little later, because we told you that Mr. Trotz, retired Assistant Commissioner of Police and former Director of Prison, he was cremated on Friday. And we have a little bit more to talk about that a little later. But let me move on to the happier. Well, before I go to that, before I move on to that, I think we will need to express sympathy to the people of Myanmar. You know, that Asian country, they had a terrible earthquake. It is reported now upward of 1,700 people have died in that earthquake. I saw a building, maybe 10 stories, collapsing. And trust me, when I saw the video, I thought it was some demolition, some implosion being taking place. It's later on I learned that it was actually an earthquake that killed, as the last count, over 1,700 people. So we have to express condolences to those persons, right? And to remind you too that today, the 31st day of March 2025, marks 383 days since Sergeant Alex Vaughan, Police Sergeant Alex Vaughan, was killed. He was killed on the 12th of March 2024, and up to now, apart from the initial report, we can't hear anything further. And the initial report said that someone of his colleagues shot him by accident. And we questioned that because the postmortem showed that he received 3 bullets. And therefore, we asked the question, how can it be accident if 3 bullets were fired? And they have not come to clarify anything, you know. So 383 days since the sergeant was killed, and you can't hear anything. And they're the ones who talk about transparency. And the birthday greetings today, we have a few birthdays today. The first, I would want to retired Woman Superintendent Crystal Robinson is celebrating our natal day today. We also have Murder Richards Aaron. I think she's the secretary for the commissioner. She is celebrating our day today. Retired woman officer Karen Kilkenny is also celebrating today. And we have another retired female police, Timberlane Yearwood Ben. She's celebrating today as well. Belated birthday greetings to our student who's here, Derek. I'm missing you, Derek. Derek Trotman celebrated recently. And Derek, this end can finish just like that. We got to sit down. We have a bend the elbow, and we got to enjoy that day. McGarvey Atterley, a former rank. He lives now in the U.S. He celebrated recently too. A serving member, Odetta Argyle, she celebrated recently. Andrew Comabaj, we used to call him, you know, the TS, we used to call him the hardest. I think his number was 13054. I'm sure he's on the live. 13054. He and his twin sister celebrated recently. I think it was on Saturday they celebrated. I think he said I reached out to him. I think he said it was 62nd birthday or something like that. And then we have advanced birthday. Tomorrow will be the birth anniversary of retired superintendent or former superintendent William Welcome. William used to be at TSU, then he used to be at staff officer there. He lives somewhere in the US, and he will be observing a natal day tomorrow. I know tomorrow, before I bring in Mr. Conway, tomorrow is All Fools Day. Let me warn you all early. In the context of Guyana, some people getting fooled every day. In the context of Guyana, All Fools Day is every day. Look out on Thursday. You're going to hear All Fools Day jokes all the time. A lot of All Fools Day. And then we get a lot of people who were actually born on that day. A lot of them, because they're so gullible that they got to be born on All Fools Day. They must have been born on All Fools Day to be so gullible, like them 00 not agents and all of them. Gullible people. So let me say happy again. Wish all those who are celebrating today, who celebrated recently, and who will be celebrating in the near future, all the best on your natal day. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then we're going to move on. PC, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Praise the Lord. We're in the land of the living to do God's work. Paula, I wish to apologize to you. I give you some wrong information in terms of anniversaries. Is 2nd of April, not All Fools Day. I did send a correction to you, but maybe you got it late. So it's on the 2nd of April. We'll be 52 years old in the police force. Now, Derek, I want to wish him belated birthday greetings. He's my friend, my partner, and I think the bottles maybe getting cobweb. It's high time we take down a bottle or two from the shelves there. Anyway, I want to give him some advice. Although he's 1 year ahead of me, I want to give him some advice. And I like to use cricketing terms sometimes when I give an advice. Derek, by now you should realize that you can't hit 6s and 4s anymore as you used to do. And I remember when Brian Lara scored the world record at 400, he had 139 singles. So he could make a century in singles. But I want to tell you that you got to be careful when you're batting now, Play on a pitch where there's enough for both the batsman and the bowler. Don't play on no sticky wicket. Make sure the wicket is well prepared when you're going to play thing. And also, when you're going to feel, you can feel a short leg, fine leg, long leg, forward short leg, backward square leg. But please don't feel in any deep gully. And play in the crease. Bat in the crease. Don't mind how they're floating it up, buddy. Bat in the crease. And play with a straight bat. Congratulations and keep on batting, Chatty.
Yeah, good advice for a good batsman and a good cricketer. Good advice from a good batsman and a good cricketer. I see someone in the student saying today, ex-police sergeant junior, birthdays today. Ex-sergeant junior, birthdays. So congratulations to him as well. Now let me move on. Some students said they came late. There are some students said they came late because they avoided driving. The buses are avoiding driving on the concussion road. The concussion road, they don't want to go. They don't want to drive on concussion road, especially when you come to Jumbie Board Circle. I don't know what they mean, but the concussion road. They said they avoid driving on the concussion road. I did hear the U.S. Secretary of State. He visited last week, and from Guyana, he went to Suriname, and the man calling out, say he drive on the road there in Guyana. Yeah, no people are getting concussion. The road is so bumpy. A recently built road. The one mistake he made, I know if it's false information of giving, and if he's gullible to accept that, he blaming the Chinese. People say he's talking about the Heroes Highway, and he blaming the Chinese. Well, sir, the Chinese did not build that. That road was built by friends, families, and favorites. And the road that he's referring to, for those of you who have not traveled there since it is open, is a road built of concrete road, not no asphalted road. It's a concrete road. And the question is asked, and these are the things that I will hope that some people investigate. Concrete road. Find out who built the road and find out who imported the truckloads and boatloads of cement for that construction. My information is certain friends, families, and favorite imported the cement. And all these strips that you see the building around the country and the Carnet Road, these cement strips, is because they want to make sure that the market is there for all the cement that the people bringing in. Check and see who bringing in the cement. Just check to see who bringing in the cement from Turkey and elsewhere. And it will be very instructive. So all of a sudden, roads that are, well, some of them you can't call them roads. You have to call them walkways. Some of these walkways that are being built are built of cement, suddenly concrete. And who bringing in the cement? This is a whole arrangement, this is not by chance. It's all part of the whole corrupt process. A part of the whole corrupt process, we're gonna build roads, and the roads are gonna be built of concrete. So therefore, people bringing in cement. Let me understand what is going on, right? People bringing in cement. Somebody bring in Mr. Khan, because I'm sure he would have heard the remarks by the U.S. Secretary of State last week complaining about what you call the concussion road. Say you travel along this road, you're bound to get concussion because the thing's so bumpy, you're jumping up all the time. But as I've said, the only piece of information that he got wrong is as to when the road was constructed. It's a road constructed by this current government. So they fed him information to say it was constructed during the previous administration. No. The road was constructed during the current administration. CC, have you traveled recently on Concussion Road, and especially when you approach Jumbie Board Circle?
Well, I didn't have to go to the Jumbie Board, or or listen to the Secretary of State, because where I'm living, they just finished building the road, and it's concreting, and it's the same thing, It's a good thing that my wife has passed, childbearing state, and she's not pregnant or may get abortion, right in my area where I'm living, they recently finished building some road, I think about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, concrete, and it's the same thing that what the Secretary of State spoke about. Sharma used to say the abortion street.
Yeah, so we just gotta, I'm hope they're gonna make it right. But I think somebody wrote him, I think Mr. Patterson, former minister, wrote the State Department to point out that road wasn't built during the tenure of the coalition government. It is a PPP thing. Friends, family, and favorite, a PPP thing. Concussion road, abortion road, that is what it is. And let me tell you this. I drove on that road for the first time, I think sometime last year. And I was shocked because you hear this big fanfare about this new highway open there and so on to ease the traffic and all of that. And that's the first thing that shocked me, concrete road, and the thing bumpy right through. It's not in sections, it's right through that highway. That it's like that, right through that highway. So let me move on. We like to teach and we like to correct. On this program before, we made the point. We told students about the elements for the offense of burglary. Right? We go into it, but we're going to go into it again because we know we have new people joining. And I say this because on the 27th of March, a couple of days ago, I saw in Starbrook News a story where they say a man gets 1 year over and more burglary. And then when you read the thing, it says Ravindra Duman, a 27-year-old unemployed resident of Grassfield and Moore, East Coast, was arrested on March 22nd, 2025 by ranks of the Enmore Police Station and charged on Tuesday with the offense of burglary with intent. He was accused of committing the act on March 21st, 2025 at the some Chinese, they have fancy name, Chinese, they look like Xing Fa, Chinese restaurant. The accused appeared at the Cove and John Magistrate Court before the magistrate, where the charge was read to him. He pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 12 months imprisonment. Now again, teaching. Burglary, the offense of burglary in Guyana, that's a law. That is not slow and conway. That's a law. it has to be committed on a dwelling house. So in this case, when I tell you about some Chinese restaurant, can be burglary. Can be burglary. And then they say that he was charged with the offense of burglary with intent. Well, let me tell you this, I never heard that. I don't know what is the offense, Burglary with intent. I don't know. I don't know what is burglary with intent, but that is what this paper is carrying. And I suspect they are carrying it based on some release that the police may have made. We say again, the burglary is committed on a dwelling house. It has to be a dwelling house. That is the law. And when we were in training school, they tell you, I think is acronym, you call it INBED, INBED. The I is there must be intent. B, they must be breaking. E, they must be entering. And D, it has to be dwelling house. And the law says, in terms of burglary, when we talk about night is between 8 p.m. and 5 a.m. So if the offense is committed between the time on a dwelling house, it is burglary. If it is not that time, it cannot be burglary. If it is not a dwelling house, it cannot be burglary. So let's understand that clearly. And before I bring in Mr. Conway, who taught these things, I'm sure they trained in school, somebody has said maybe the Chinese live there in the place, and so all is a possibility. But once you say restaurant, you can't say restaurant and then say that they live there. If you want to claim that they live there, then you have to say dwelling house, right? And the law says too, and this was taught, when you talk about breaking and entering, breaking does not mean that the thing has to be broken and damaged. For example, if you have a window, you don't have to break the glass. If you open the window and you get in, that is considered breaking in the law. That is considered breaking. And when you talk about entering, you don't have to necessarily your whole body physically go in. If you open and you push things, so you get something where you can clip and remove items, that is entering. You would have entered constructively. So these are the things that policemen, the younger policemen, well, the younger one, even the older one, have to be taught. You cannot, in Guyana, because I remember previously when we spoke about it, a student who is a police, a law enforcement officer, he said in New York, it is slightly different. In the US, in some states, it might be different. But in Guyana, it has to be a dwelling house. And I know they have some very experienced and former detectives who are here. So maybe they would want to offer the comment. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. Mr. Conway, have you ever heard about this offense of the offense of burglary with intent? I never heard of it. I might be wrong. I might not be well taught, but maybe some of the older Bronx here too, like Smithy and the Angel and them can tell me if there is such an offense as burglary with intent. Go ahead, CC.
It's a new offense, and you're quite correct, Remember my instruction in my days as an instructor, in bed, intent, nighttime, breakage, entry, dwelling house. An entry could be breaking or you break out, and dwelling house can be restaurant, nighttime, intent, breakage could be actual or constructive breakage. Sometimes you use a false key to gain entry and all kind of thing, And you're so quite correct that you could put in some instrument, use your hand part, your whole body not going part of your hand could push in a window and remove stuff, So it's got to be embedded in the police. INBED. And all those elements got to be there. If there's no intent, it is not burglary. If it's not nighttime, it is not burglary. If there's no entry that you notice, it's not burglary. And if it's not dwelling house, it can be burglary. It can be in a restaurant. And here to talk about some daytime burglary. Burglary committed on some motorcyclists and all kind of nonsense here. The thing is clear and it's simple. INBED. Intent, nighttime, breakage, entry, dwelling house. Full stop.
I hope they will take notes, I hope, and the people from the corporate communication unit who give these releases, take note, man. You'll be teaching. It's free education. You're making the force look bad. Whoever released these things, making the force for people who know look bad. Something like that. Those are basic things, basic policing. And if you don't know the offense, you don't know the elements of the offense, you're not going to be able to successfully prosecute the case. You're not going to be able to do so I would love, I mean, this is a report from a newspaper, but I would have loved to see what the case jacket in this matter stated, because I never heard about the offense of burglary with intent. I have never heard of that. Wonder which section of the law that comes under. I don't know. I have never seen it, and I'm serious. I've never seen it. Burglary with intent. I know burglary. And for some people, the policemen were, if it's a dwelling house and the offense is not in the night, then you have to, is there other offenses, not burglary, lastly from dwelling house, and you get a whole set of other offenses under that section, under that part of the law, right? But when we talk about burglary, it has to be a dwelling house. It has to be in the night. Night is from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. If it's not a dwelling house, and even if it is a dwelling house, and the offense is not committed between 8 p.m. and 5 a.m., other charge, not burglary. And these things, when you charge burglary, I don't know what happens now even with the courts, but when you charge burglary, you have to state those elements. Those elements have to be there. What time this thing committed in order for the offense to be established. No, intent. Once I say intent is intent to commit a crime, daring after committing a crime. The whole thing is explained when we talk about intent. When we talk about intent, is it intent to commit a felony therein? That is what it usually is. I mean, most times you write the charge, you got to spell out all of that. With intent to commit a felony therein. Now let me move on. Last week, Monday, and again on Wednesday, we told you about the viral video by the fireman, Neville Kamabaj, who calling out the Minister of Home Affairs for interfering at fire scenes and all of that. He going to the fire scenes and he directing trained fire people, including the most senior, the chief fire officer, how they should fight fire. And Neville Kamabaj on Saturday, that's the Saturday before, not yet, the Saturday before, came out on a live. That is the day, I think, after, the day after the May school fire, which took the life of a fireman. And Neville Kamabaj did not hold back. He did not hold back. Following Neville, 1 hour, 2 minutes, I think it was, calling out the minister and saying the minister should not be doing these things. A few days after, the fire service came out with a release claiming that is the views of Kamabaj and it is not their view and so on. Wednesday last, Kamabaj came out again and he actually doubled down and he pointed out a lot of things that are going wrong in the fire service in terms of promotion, in terms of a lot of stuff, a lot of things. It is chaos based on what Kamabaj is stating. It is chaos. And the old gist of this thing is that the chief fire officer, the current chief fire officer, what we come and think is his name, has passed the age of retirement. He has passed the age of retirement and he is moving on. And therefore he sits there at the pleasure, I guess, of the government and he's sucking up to all of these things. I hear the minister publicly berating him, publicly in the public, and he sat there, he stood there and couldn't see anything. I don't expect, as a discipline, a person in the discipline force, if the minister mess you up, as you would say, berate you in the public, you're going to respond there or then. But I would expect that shortly thereafter, you would ask for a private audience with the minister and let the minister know that that is unacceptable. He can't be talking to you like that in the public. He cannot be attempting, or not even attempting, he cannot be embarrassing you like that. I don't know if Wickham did that. Gregory Clement, I think his name. I don't know if he did that. But that is what he should have done. The minister talking to you, but you are in control. You're not in control. I arriving, I getting news about fire before you, and all of those things. Those things are wrong. And as I said, Kamabaj came out and Kamabaj talked his mind. And I made the point, I said it before, because Wednesday when he doubled down, he called my name. I can't do what he was. So he said, slow, sir, that is a PPP. And he admitted, well, yes, there is none. That is a Downey PPP. He's a PPP councillor on the BV Triumph Neighborhood Democratic Council. And long ago, I questioned how can a serving member of the fire service, any uniform service, be allowed to serve in what is clearly a political role. The man, when they get political meetings and so on, the man is known to be on the platform speaking at political meetings. These are serving firemen. And I'm saying that these things are wrong. I say it is wrong. Even though they might want to say you get constitutional right and so on, there are certain things uniformed people should not get involved in. Nothing wrong with supporting a political party, any party of your choice. The Constitution guarantees you that. But you can't, in my view, be a member of the any uniform service and be on a political platform, be in a neighborhood democratic council representing a political party. I don't care what they say. I will continue to hold that view. But Neville Commerce has been allowed. And as I said, when you create a monster, it has come back for bite you or to eat you whole. And that is what happened. Remember Brutus? They created Brutus. They used Brutus to come after the police service commission and all of that. Right? And then when the Brutus turned back on them now, big story. Big story. So Commerce, they get him there. But even 2 Tuesdays ago, Agile had political meeting at his residence at BV Sideline Dam. That's Commerce's resident BV Sideline Dam. So they created. Well, you know, the whole thing is, yesterday I saw a letter from a former chief fire officer, Lawrence David. I know Lawrence. We went to university together, and I know Lawrence. And knowing Lawrence, a quiet, reserved person, having regards to what is going on in the fire service, he felt compelled to pen a letter in the paper. It was published in Stabrook News yesterday. Yeah, I can go read. I can just read excerpts from it. It says here, from the outset, let me declare my opinion here is not political and purely professional. Listening to station leader, or I think that is it, station leader is the section leader. Listen to section leader Combadge. It was easy to feel his passion, commitment, loyalty, and love for the profession he chose as a career. I know that I have the liberty on behalf of all present and past firefighters to say similarly. We share those feelings. Furthermore, on my own behalf, I join hands with Combadge in condemning anyone who usurps the lawful responsibility of the chief fire officer, and by extension his subordinates, during the operations on the fire ground. And then he closed in the last paragraph by saying this. Finally, Mr. Wickham, you worked under my command, and I still see you as a God-fearing person. Someone indicated to me that the atmosphere within the department is suffocating because of your decision not to retire. I saw a video in which the minister was berating you in public about him knowing of fires before you. Take it from me, CFO. You have a family, and there's no need to endure that kind of embarrassment. There are young officers with tertiary education and qualification, and who are deserving of the opportunity to lead and develop the Guyana Fire Service. From the point you and those before you have brought it to. It is their time to lead. Gregory, it is your time to amp your fire kit. The Guyana Fire Service will survive. Retirement is a beautiful thing. That is this part of what Lawrence David, the former or retired chief fire officer, wrote. And that is what it should be. He said the atmosphere in there is suffocating. And you can imagine a similar atmosphere in the Guyana Police Force, where the commissioner, having passed, he was acting, he passed the age of retirement, they unconstitutionally appointed him as commissioner long after he passed the mandatory retirement age, long after. Same thing, suffocating in they're going to say it because you're operating in an environment where people are afraid. People are afraid, and perhaps justifiably so. They are afraid. But when the time comes to retire, move on. Maybe you can seek some employment in an advisory capacity. And even if you're there in an advisory capacity, it's a reflection on you. Because when you do management, they will tell you that as a manager, you have a responsibility to train people to take over from you. So when the time comes for either you go and leave or you retire, there should be competent people there to take over. And if you want to feel that the people there are not competent, it's a reflection of you. You did not train them properly. It's a reflection of you. You did not train them. So I don't know. But as I've said, fire service, according to Combadge, they're in turmoil. We know the police force is in turmoil. We know that. We know that they are in turmoil. Fire service too. Perhaps all the agencies, it would appear, under ropes and men. I remember prison get problems too, you know. A lot of problems in prisons too. And there's another department under the Ministry of, or the Minister of Home Affairs. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then I'm going to show you a few clips with the minister. CC, what are your views about the statement or the letter from Lawrence David, former Chief Fire Officer, and Combadge, follow up live from Combadge? Your views?
I read the letter and I listened to Combadge, both statements, you know. I want to say clearly, you know, legally, he may be right to sit as a PPP seat in the NDC, but ethically, it's wrong. For me, the joint service, or when you're in certain office, you gotta be apolitical. You have to be apolitical, and you can't openly display it, as the case may be. And I feel, you know, when you're the head and you reach retirement age, time to go. Don't wait don't be squatting there, and don't wait for the conform you as an extended squatter. And that's by down to the organization. Do they have any succession planning? There must be succession planning, and there must be career development. That you gotta build up people, train them, expose them, so that they were able to take over, that they can move on. I got a friend in New York, and before he get promotion, he had to train 3 men, and they gotta test them to see whether they can take his place. That there must be succession planning, there must be career development. And when your time reaches, especially when you're the head there, it's time for you to go. Because morale being going to be low, a whole thing is going to go wrong. And I agree with the letter writer, the former head of the fire service. And then it bothered me a while, you know, because I listened to the first statement of Combadge. And he talking about the minister, and we know the minister been at Maze, giving instructions. And one of the things he said that is in my mind all the time, that you got to be careful, especially when you wooden building, that the walls will collapse. And I wondered whether or not the minister told them, hey, you're too far away from the scene. You got to be very close. Go up closer and put your hose there. And bops, the wall collapse and trap them. You know, we got to be careful. Minister giving instructions and giving wrong instructions that put the lives of the firemen in jeopardy, put their lives in danger. I listened clearly to Combadge and some of the things he said. I learned a lot in his first statement about firefighting. And the one bothering with me is, were they told you're too far away from the scene? You got to go up closer. You got to go close to the building, and you got to put the hose in the source of the fire. And bops, the wall collapse and trap them. Maybe they need to have a proper inquiry in terms of what took place, resulting in the death and the injury of those firemen.
It needs an inquiry based on what Combadge is saying. And let me show you some of the things that they were referring to. I think this is one.
Pass, and the fire service is making sure that everything. And this is the Minister of Home Affairs, Robeson Ben, and he's talking with the fire service. And
I cannot learn about the fire before you.
Here, the minister berating the chief fire officer in public. You're not in control. I cannot learn about the fire before you. Look at this next video too.
See my boots? Darker than yours. You must dress just like a firefighter out here. Don't come with this fancy uniform. Make sure the men have oxygen tanks, and that they're directed to put their hoses onto the source of the fire, and to have sledges and axes to break in to get to the.
But those are clearly operational matters. The minister, and that statement, that last statement about put the hoses at the source of the fire. Now, my little knowledge tells me that the source of the fire is within the fire. And many times you don't know what is the source of the fire until some investigation is done. But here it is, the minister in public. He's speaking there to the chief fire officer, another senior officer, I don't know who the other senior officer is, telling them how to think, how to fight the fire. They must instruct the people to put the hose at the source of fire. So when you hear Kamabaj came out, and well, bravely, I should say, even though he came out because I'm sure he has political backings, came out bravely and said what he said. The evidence is there that Kamabaj is correct. Minister berating the chief fire officer in public about he's not having command or control of the situation. As I've said, the discipline in some people, not all the way, because I might have been tempted to answer him right there on the spot. I might have been, even though I'm a disciplined person, I might have been. But the correct thing would have been for ask for an immediate audience with the minister. And let the minister know in no uncertain term that that is not unacceptable. And if he attempts to do it again, you're not gonna like what you are going to, or what your response is gonna be. And once you add that interaction, it might very well be good for you to follow it up in writing and copy it to the necessary people. I would have written to the minister, pointed out these embarrassing episodes, and copy it maybe all the way to the president. And well, of course, I would not have been in that position because I would not have been past the retirement age. All of these things can happen, and the chief fire officer got to stay quiet because tomorrow they could tell you, say, proceed on your leave. And that will be a good thing, as Mr. David said. He said retirement is a beautiful thing. I know I have been retired almost 15 years now, so I know retirement is a good thing. Is a good thing. Embarrassing to the fire service. And I waited to see what they're gonna do, if anything, with Kamabaj, because he says he's on leave. He's due to resume sometime. And let me wait to see if they're gonna say they want to discipline Kamabaj, because he intimated in the last live that he did that he had they're scouring the books to see what offense they can charge him for and all of that. But let us see where that will go. Let us see. I will see Mr. Carmen. CC, you want to say anything more on this before we move forward?
We could move on. Let's wait and see what action will be taken there. I heard one bypass him in terms of promotion too.
Well, he checked the court action. He said anytime they do anything like that, you go into the court. And let me see what will happen. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about, this might shock some of you. I learned, I think yesterday, that former Minister of Finance, Winston Jordan, continues to be harassed by the government. They're using SOKU to harass Winston Jordan. He was served with a summons on Thursday to appear in the Georgetown Magistrate Court this morning. And he did appear this morning, where they charge him again for misconduct in public office, claiming that he sold some property way below the market value. He was placed on $150,000 bail this morning, Monday, the 31st day of March, 2025. Winston Jordan is charged again by SOKU, let's see, with misconduct in public office. I gotta make some points before bringing Mr. Kami. This man was charged with misconduct in public office before, right? Went through a whole preliminary inquiry because the charge is indictable. And as I've explained to you before, once a charge is indictable, you're not going to be required to plead when you go before the magistrate. So this morning, the charge would have been read to him, and he would have been told that he's not required to plead because the charge is an indictable charge. On many occasions, applications might then be made for summary disposal, meaning that for the magistrate to try the case, because if it remains indictable, the magistrate will conduct a preliminary inquiry, and if the magistrate finds prima facie evidence then the matter will go to the judge and jury. But if the AJ, the Administration of Justice Act, is applied, then the magistrate is going to then read the charge over and ask him to plead, and then they're going to try the case. But this matter, as I've said, a similar matter, misconduct in public office in relation to the property the mud flat there at Kingston, when magistrate found that there was no evidence against him, no case for him to answer, matter was discharged. Now, if you remember, I've got to remind y'all, the DPP then used a recent amendment, to move to the High Court for an ex parte, I mean, in his absence, behind the back, for ask the High Court to issue a warrant for his arrest and commit him to stand trial in respect to the same charge. The matter came up before the acting Chief Justice, and she excoriated them. Because the main argument they had said, because one of the things they said, he was not a public officer. Where on a previous matter, I think it was Ashni Singh, the court had held that Ashni Singh is in fact a public officer, right? So the magistrate in discharging Jordan had said, among other things, that he's not a public officer. And the Chief Justice, I read a part of that ruling, said that outside of that, she disagreed with the magistrate that he's not a public officer, but said that there's no evidence in the matter. So even if you agree that he's a public officer, which he should have, there is no evidence to support the charge. And they come now with the same or a similar charge, misconduct in public office. And before I bring in Mr. Conway, this is abuse. This is harassment. Ikin, the current commissioner, admitted that he took $8.5 million from Amir Ahmad in his office, in the commissioner's office, $8.5 million Guyana dollars in the commissioner's office to finance Calvin Brutus' wedding, which was held at the Pegasus in, I think, 23 November. Ikin admitted that in his statement. No misconduct. No misconduct. You have a statement in this matter with Brutus where he's charged for thieving $60 million. Where the rank gave a statement to say that this money was handed over, this $60 million was handed over in envelopes to Brutus in the commissioner's office, in the presence of the commissioner. Brutus charged for thieving the money, and he didn't even get charged for misconduct in public office. Animal farm. Misconduct, a lot of abuse, misconduct in public office, contrary to common law. That is what they're doing. That man charged went through the process. Exonerated. Now they come back now again this week, today, that man before the court. Why should talk out? And I am sure that the only reason they are doing that, as we said, this is election season, and I have been encouraging people to listen to Mr. Winston Jordan on CAMS TV on Thursday morning. Brilliant presentations, analyzing everything. Last week, he analyzed the impact of the plan to do away with the tolls on the bridges. I know they make big announcement at Babu Jan the other day. From August the 1st this year, you don't have to pay toll at the Wisma Bridge. You don't have to pay toll at the Marmor Bridge. You don't have to pay toll at the Borbies Bridge. Winston Jordan last Thursday did an analysis. He analyzed this thing and point out the folly in this whole thing and so on. So they're going after you. They're going after you. Once you speak out against them and you speak the truth, they don't want people to hear the truth. They get all the propaganda arms, and that is all you must be fed. All you must be fed is the PPP propaganda. Somebody come, this program, for example, they do all kind of thing. They get me before the court. They're trying to shut me up. Well, let me tell you this. They're trying to shut me up, and I hope, let me read this again. Let me read this to you. And this is a quote from UC Anderson. It says, "Let it be known to all and sundry, I fear not yesterday, not today, and not tomorrow, and not ever any creature known to man, irrespective of the office they hold. I am not possessed by a spirit of fear." That's what UC Anderson said. And I am quoting that. They're going to do all sort of thing. They're going to do all sort of thing to shut you up. They don't want to hear the truth. So they're going after Winston Jordan again. So I think the matter is postponed to some other date now. I can't remember the exact date. But That is what they are doing, using Soku to go after people. They're using the special organized crime unit to go after the people who they perceive as their political enemies. That is what is going on. CC, your views.
Well, it's election season, and what going on is PPPC, it's police, it's politics, it's persecution, and it's corruption. Here is it. Winston Jones, I don't know the facts, but the circumstances similar to the one that he had. Misbehavior in public office. And you mentioned about the conform squatter collecting 8.5. And not only that, he said he get a stakeholders approach. So it's not only the 8.5 he collecting from other people too, for personal birthdays, for personal weddings, for personal anniversaries. And the second vice president said it is reprehensible. And yet still they conform it. And here's again, Suku, another matter that will finish at no case submission. Going to finish at no case submission. The extended squatter, the conform squatter, collecting left, right, and center as a stakeholders approach for persons' anniversary, persons' wedding, and anything there. And he had me, and it then only talk, it then in writing, and that is not misbehavior in public office, or perhaps he's not a public officer, maybe, but the second vice president said it is reprehensible, and nothing is being done, and there are several others too. For election coming up, election in the air, so they're gonna look at who they consider the enemies. Their enemies, and they're going to find charges for them. They don't care if them charges finish at no case submission. But saying again, as in my open statement, PPPC is police, is politics, is persecution, and is corruption.
Well said, my brother, well said. And the statement that Mr. Conway is referring to, let me play it to you. This is the vice president. Listen to it carefully, students.
And let me also make it clear here today that this government never sanctioned a policy where private individuals and businessmen could pay for the birthdays and weddings of policemen or other public officials. In fact, we think it's reprehensible. It's reprehensible. So that's all I'm going to say for today.
For that act, that reprehensible act, what the vice president, they say, is describing, the man has been promoted to commissioner after he passed the retirement age. And here you have a former minister who in the corner coming and giving critical analysis of certain things in his sphere of knowledge and all of that. Because when it comes to finance, let me understand this thing clearly. When it comes to finance, when it comes to economics, you can't stop Mr. John. Just listen to him on Thursday. Listen to him on Thursdays with all the figures. Listen to him on Thursdays on CAMS TV. I think he's on from 7:30 in the morning. So yeah, reprehensible. So when you commit reprehensible acts under this administration, you are going to be rewarded. And when you speak out, they come after you. Which is a good point to segue into the other issue that we're going to deal with. Melly Mel. Oh my Lord. Melissa Atwell, a.k.a. Melly Mel. Well, Melissa Atwell Holder, a.k.a. Melly Mel. We're telling you, when we spoke about this program, we spoke about that in the program. We say, hey, we don't know what it is. Forget about how they're telling you. They told us about the critics or the ones who are against her, were telling you about credit card fraud and being used as a conduit to finance terrorism, all sort of crap they come with. Now we know the truth. The truth. Melly Mel was detained for an immigration violation. And as I told you, they celebrate. And I read Psalms 35. Psalms 30, verse 5, which says, weeping may endure for the night, but joy cometh in the morning. Weeping may endure for the night, but joy cometh in the morning. So all of them who they're thinking, weeping, joy came. Last week, Friday, Melly Mel appeared before a judge at what they call some master's hearing. Now, a lot of things went wrong there. In that, the court ordered all reporters out of the courtroom. The judge, at the request of the person representing the ICE, the immigration people, everybody out. Yet still, somebody was able to stream this proceedings live in violation of the order of the judge. And if you hear how the commentary and how they carry on, man, if you hear they carry on, Melly Mel was released on 7,500 bond. Even that, over the weekend, they carry on, so she can't raise 7,500, forgetting that there's a process. Because let me tell you all this, I told you all before, when you are charged with an offense and you're before the court, you cannot bail yourself. Listen to this, student. You can't bail yourself. So even if you're a millionaire and they tell you $100,000 bail, you have to get someone else to bail you. You might give them the money, right? But the person who's signing as bailing you, because that person has a responsibility, a legal responsibility to ensure that you turn up whenever you have to turn up if you're on bail. So you can't bail yourself. And bail requires a process or a procedure. And all them who celebrating should know that. Well, not all them should know. At least the critics should know that. Because he was some time ago, let me think, he was some time ago, if you recall, he had a Simona Brooms sued him at about Guyanese cricket. His name Mikhail Rodriguez. I didn't say that he streamed it, but he and among them who celebrating the fact that Melly Mel appeared there in a prison in the detention uniform and so on. They're celebrating, right? He had a matter where he was sued. Well, he got several matters, but I'm referring to this specific matter where he was sued by Simona Brooms. And the matter came up before the judge sometime in September last year, right? It is alleged that he appeared virtually. And during that process, that virtual process, the man streamed the hearing live, which forced the judge at the time to summon the Senator Getty, right? He was on the say the social media commentator Mikhail Rodriguez, well known as Guyanese critic, was found guilty of contempt of court, but was spared jail time by the judge. At the High Court yesterday, that would have been on the 3rd of September 2024. Rodriguez was subsequently fined $100,000, which he must pay within 7 days to avoid a 3-day jail sentence. He had also agreed to issue a public apology to the court. The contempt charge stemmed from Rodriguez's breach of Section 4 of the Contempt of Court Act 26 of 2010, which prohibits the use of any recording device in court without permission. During the court hearing where Rodriguez has been sued by former APNU AFC Minister Simona Brooms for defamatory statement, he live-streamed the entire proceedings, a clear violation of the law. The judge expressed astonishment at the breach, stating the court was shocked to know that the entire proceedings was live-streamed. Rodriguez, who has been summoned for the contempt, now faces the financial penalty and the obligation to publicly apologize. You know, in many of these cases, we have said it before, some of these judges are too lenient. Some of the judges are too lenient. We pointed out previous cases where some of the judges are too lenient. And that is why people are emboldened to go and do the craziness. $100,000 for a man who get an $800 and something million contract for a pump station, which has not started. And I hear the man got an advance payment of $170 something million. And nothing really. And nothing. If you're going to impose a monetary punishment, it will be something to cause the police to consider. That is what is happening. And let me tell you, coming out of this matter on Friday with Melly Mel at the court in Louisiana, the judge, it was streamed live in violation of the court order. I looked at it, and I heard the judge questioning on several occasions, why is this person here? Because based on the law and the immigration laws and so on, she should not have been before the court. That is what the judge is implying. Why is the person here? Because they call two farm numbers. I don't know what the things are. She's married to a U.S. citizen. They did interview, forget the thing, regularized, what they call change of status, all of that. And the lawyer or the person who was representing the immigration people admitted to all of these things. Admitted. She got, I think there was a temporary green card. She married to the U.S. citizen. They had an interview, and they're just waiting 2 years now or something like that. They said waiting for the adjustment of status, and the judge questioned, why are they here? Why is she here? And let me tell you before I bring in Mr. Conway, and well, I hope that the fact that this thing was live streamed, somebody report this thing to the authorities and seek to take action against those who violated the order of the court. We can't, well, they believe it's Guyana there. So they can do anything in Guyana and get away with it. They can do anything in Guyana. And let me say this before I bring in CC. A lot of the apologists, including them will get them agent number 00 NAC, license to lick Bati, and 00 whatever they get. They're coming out to tell you that the government had nothing to do with it. This is not the government. This is a clear U.S. immigration stuff. Government of Guyana had nothing to do with it. Tell that to the Marines. Tell that, because they were going after Melly Mel a long time. I believe that they snitched on Melly Mel. And I believe that they were able to influence ICE to go and pick her up because of who she is. Because again, based on what came out in court, she should have never been before the court or matters before the competent authority, and they are proceeding with it. And for those who say that the government ain't involved and all that, let me tell you something. Them who went to law school and so on, they might not have taught you this, but in my training as a police, right, they taught me a phrase. Let me tell you how the phrase said, right? I have it written down here. I don't want to misquote. The phrase is called plausible deniability. It is called plausible deniability. In other words, you set it up, but you distance yourself from everything. They can't link it back to you. So you have plausible deniability. And that is what they did. That is my view. That is what they did. But as I've said, Psalm 35, weeping may endure for the night, but joy cometh in the morning. So all them who is celebrating, are they jumping up? Because they told us deportation, she can get deported. And they believe they're in a banana, or she is in a banana republic. There is a process. There's something called rule of law. And even if she had committed herself, it had got you process, natural justice. Natural justice. So let's wait and see. I think she has to appear now, I think on the 18th of some court in New York. But I emphasize, the judge wanted to know why was she there, because based on what he saw, there was no reason for her to be before the court. That is how I interpret it. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. CC, let me hear your take on this whole issue, my brother.
Well, I'm going to be very brief on it, because all those who were celebrating, they're very quiet now. They accuse her of say credit card fraud, of dealing with terrorists, and a whole set of things, And all of them be very quiet now, because the American system is not the Guyana system, where you have the right to be heard. Justice will prevail. And there's what happening with Melly Mel. Here the judge say, what she doing here? Oh, she come up here in front of me, in case maybe. So the thing is that they try all kind of thing, and they get what we call a stop in the tracks. They're waiting for Melly Mel come to Guyana, so they're gonna dig cybercrime charges or next thing she end up smelling lazy. So they're trying all kind of thing, you know. But for me, my little study of American law, and I did legal issues for commanders, you know, when I was with the FBI. And I know that she'll be free. I know that them and sending she back to Guyana to face any persecution, as the case may be. So all who is sitting back and waiting for Melly Mel, hey, there are people line up. Don't line up like how there are people line up for you, Paul, to wait when she come in at Cherry Jagan International Airport and pick she up there and put bangle on she hand and bring she to court and all that kind of thing there. So they go wait in vain, Paul.
Yeah, you remind me of when I went to the airport, and I think it was the 13th of October 2021 with me. They go up there because it's a spectacle. They're out to try to embarrass you. But I have said repeatedly, when it comes to these issues that I'm facing, I ain't got no shame. I like them. According to Lincoln Lewis, the strength of the PPP is that they have no shame. That's what Lincoln Lewis said. The strength of the PPP is they have no shame. Other people say, buy this thing and look bad. No. Nothing looking bad for them. Nothing looking bad. Folks, share this life. Share this life. We're going to tell you all now about this Mohammed saga. So share the life. Tell people, as I said, the domino game get at. Now we can start the thing. Now, we know, or you would have seen recently, that a statement attributed to Guyana's Attorney General, it's Mohabir Anil Nandlal, SC, MP, right? That it said that the Guyana received information on U.S. sanctions against Mohammed and May Thomas. Files handed over to the police and GRA, that's the Guyana Revenue Authority. So, you know, Marco Rubio, the U.S. Secretary of State, visited Guyana. And on the sideline of some press conference that he had with the president, Anil Nandlal, the Attorney General, claimed that these files, if you recall, in June of last year, the Mohammeds were sanctioned, and May Thomas, I must remind you, they were all sanctioned, right? And the government of Guyana said, well, they didn't know about this thing. The U.S. ambassador said this was an ongoing investigation involving several federal agencies, local and state federal agencies in the U.S. Guyana didn't know about it. And then they wrote to ask for the facts, which led to the sanction of these people. They asked for the facts, right? Apparently they wrote to the wrong agency. They were referred to another agency. So he's saying now that they received this information. They received, and they said they handed over files to the police and the GRA. That's what Nandlal said. Now, they got a lot of things coming out of this. One of the first questions I would like to ask is, when were the files received? Because speaking about this on the sidelines of this press conference between the Secretary of State of the U.S. and Guyana President created the impression that this file or these files were brought there and then is around the same time of the arrival of the Secretary. That's the impression created, right? So it would be nice to know when these files were handed over. And, you know, over the weeks, especially in recent weeks, because as we told you, election year, election coming up, the crystal ball said, and I told you earlier, the crystal ball said, a lot of crimes are going to be solved and pinned on people. You see, they done pin one on Jordan this morning, right? Pin one on Winston Jordan. That will be their trend. They're gonna continue to weaponize the police force, weaponize the Guyana Revenue Authority to go after people who they perceive as their political opponents or enemies, right? But as I told you again last week, I told Damlal, who called in, he said that he was hoping that they put on the agenda the extradition of the Mohammeds to the U.S. That is what he said. And I reminded them and reminded you that it wasn't the Mohammeds alone who were sanctioned. May Thomas, the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Home Affairs, well, at the time when she was sanctioned, I believe she had gone to labor. She too was sanctioned. And here, let me read some part of this thing, what it says. Let me read some part. It says here, Mohammed Enterprise, this is the allegation. Mohammed Enterprise has bribed customs officials to falsify import and export documents, as well as to facilitate illicit gold shipment. Mohammed's enterprise had paid bribe to Guyanese government officials to ensure the undisrupted flow of inbound and outbound personnel that move currency and other items on behalf of Asruddin and the Mohammed enterprise. It goes on, and these are just excerpts, to conceal their illegal activities and operate within impunity. Asruddin and Mohammed Enterprise have engaged in extensive bribery schemes involving government officials in Guyana. This includes providing direct and recurring bribery payments to Guyanese government officials to ensure favorable treatment in criminal or civil matters that would otherwise suggest their involvement in illegal criminal activities. In return, corrupt officials, and I emphasize in officials, plural, no one. In return, corrupt officials receive cash and gifts for incidents that are overlooked. Additionally, Mohammed's enterprise has paid bribes to corrupt Guyanese government officials to facilitate the award of government contracts. One such official, Mayor Thomas, was the permanent secretary to Guyana's Minister of Home Affairs from October 2020 through August 2023, and is the current permanent secretary of the Ministry of Labor. A corrupt permanent secretary can manipulate procurement processes to suit their preferred bidder by providing inside information at the early stage of evaluation. Access to a permanent secretary of any ministry could afford contractors insight into upcoming projects and bid values. Permanent secretaries can act as the legal authority to sign contracts on behalf of the ministries. And let me read this last part. It says, while permanent secretary Guyana Minister of Home Affairs, Thomas used her position to offer benefits to Mohammed's enterprise and Asruddin, among others, in exchange for cash payment and high-value gifts. Thomas misused her position to influence the award of official contract bids and the approval process for weapons permit and passports on behalf of Mohammed Enterprise. So that is what it says. So now that we are saying that the files have been handed over to the police and GRA, I would expect that we can know now who these officials are. Even though they said officials plural, they only name one, Mayor Thomas. But I say other government officials were involved in this bribery scheme. So perhaps we should welcome this investigation. However, we have to have our reservation as to whether SOCU, because I suspect SOCU is going to be the agency investigating this matter, whether SOCU can properly and credibly investigate this matter. Remember, again, before I bring in Mr. Conway, it's not Nazar Mohammed, Asruddin Mohammed, and Mayor Thomas alone. While they are the three who might have been sanctioned, the report that I read to you just now from OFAC, claiming other officials are involved, I therefore have a strong suspicion that if documents are presented to the government and are handed over to GRA and the police, all of these officials have to be investigated. Who these people are, what did they do, when did they do it? I would hope that all of those things are contained. So they said, be careful what you ask for. For all you know, damn well, you name the this thing. Let me review Mr. Conway. We're going to come back to talk a little bit more with it. CC, let me hear you on this story that they're portraying. They're talking about the Mormons alone. They're not mentioned one of their favorite officials. It was also sanctioned. Your take, my brother.
Well, they were sheltering, They say we ain't get no information. The U.S. do their own thing, and they write the U.S., the Attorney General, first letter misdirected. The second one, they write to the right persons, and I understand they get the files now. Let them bring it on. It's not a PS alone. And we're talking about a whole lot of things. They're talking about bribery, corruption. They're talking about guns. They're talking about passports. They're talking about contracts. And it couldn't be a one-woman show or a one-man show. Others have to be involved. The police have to be involved. Customs have to be involved. Government officials have to be involved. People from the various ministries have to be involved. They get the files. Bring it on. Let's have it. Bring it on. Let me get it. And as you say, and I agree with you, Soko can't do the investigation. Because here again, it's going to finish at no case submission. At no case submission, they got to get people to do the investigation. But here it is, they're talking, and not only the PS or not only the Mohammeds, just striking on the Mohammeds. It's not Mohammeds. The PS, I repeat it myself, customs gotta be involved, police gotta be involved, home affairs gotta be involved, other ministry gotta be, and government gotta be involved, GGMC Island gotta be involved. Bring it on, let's have it. But saying, don't give Soko. If you bring Soko, no case submission, and it done there.
I like how you call it. Let's bring it on, man. Let's bring it on. Let me do this investigation. Because again, the people say here, this thing involves government officials, plural. And I would expect that this file, when Nandalal say hand over to them, will include all the details about all who the officials are. And let me say this. Let me say this, my brothers and sisters. I'm looking forward because at the end of the day, let me say at the end of the day, you do an investigation. I would expect a matter like this will go to the Director of Public Prosecutions for legal advice as to whether charges should be brought. Some people have alleged that the Director of Public Prosecution don't recommend charges against certain people. Certain people don't recommend charge. And then let me read to you what Bernard DeSantis said in the book entitled Hijacking of the MBS. I give me a copy. Hijacking of the MBS. I'll be talking about page 51. Right? He said one of the matters which has been suspected by members of the criminal bar for some time is that the acting director of public prosecutions, whose husband is a Muslim cleric, cannot divorce her religion from her professional duties. In the instant case, Mistress Aliak, prior to charges being instituted against my client, held a meeting at the headquarters of the CIOG, which is Central Islamic Organization of Ghana, which was attended inter alia by her husband and a Muslim member of staff of the NBS, at which meeting the affairs of the NBS, as the New Building Society, were discussed as they pertain to the loss of the money, which later formed the basis of the charges. It is an open secret that Mistress Aliak's husband has played a major role in the matter. Are you buy the book and read? I told you all a long time, buy this book and read. And some things are revealed in this book. Well, let me go on with this matter. So the file will go to the DPP at some stage, and they're going to peruse, and they're going to decide on charges. I would expect, let me say this, I would expect that given how things go, they will say charge. But I want to see if they're going to charge the Mohammeds alone and not charge May Thomas. I want to see if they're going to charge the Mohammeds and May Thomas and not investigate to find out who the other government officials that the USA were involved in this whole bribery scheme, and they should be charged too. Awaiting. We can monitor it closely to see what's happening. A lot of magic will take place. You know, you get magicians, abracadabra, files can disappear, people's names can suddenly not involved. You're going to hear a lot of things if a proper investigation is done. I have no confidence that Soku can conduct a proper investigation. The investigation against Brutus, we saw all the evidence, blotched from the beginning. From the beginning. And as Mr. Conway said, Soku has a dismal record. Nothing goes apart one. I think the only case that went past no case submission is Nandalal case where he was accused of thief in Labo. The magistrate did find that the prima facie case had been made out against him. All the others, no case and it gone. No case submission and it gone. So let me see what can happen. But let me say, let's assume, for argument's sake, Listen carefully, share the live, share the live. I see the classroom full. Share the live. Let's assume for argument's sake, CC, that charges are filed, right? I am interested to know, or it will be interesting to know, who are the people who will go to court to give evidence in this matter, because the U.S. would have submitted documents. They might even have things like invoices and all these type of things. Would the U.S. authorities or the people from the federal government who are involved in this investigation come to give evidence or give evidence virtually? Will they be part of the proceedings? What about the local people? I'm sure local people will be named. Because you can't just tender documents. Somebody got to go in the witness box, and the documents have to be tendered to witnesses. So this is a whole nice thing. You see the jump up and the politics. Oh, we have the documents. And the documents or the files have been handed over to the police and GRA. Good, all well and good. All well and good. Let's see where it goes from there. Because the documents, I say again, you can't go in front of the court and say, take these documents. It don't work, sir. You have to give people, I guess they have to get statements, or if they have statements in the files that they get, they have to have the people to come and give the evidence, to go into the witness box, swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and be subjected to cross-examination. And if you're going to tender documents, documents have to be tendered through people. Documents have to be tendered through witnesses. So let me see. You know, the jump up on this thing and people, Conrad, you come speaking out. When you come to speaking out, we can break it down. We can break it down for you. We are going to break it down for you. So don't worry. We're here now, then jump out, say the U.S. provided them with the documents and they hand over. That's just perhaps the start of the process. I want to know who are the other government officials. The U.S. emphasized in that statement several times. They spoke about other officials who were involved in this whole bribery thing. Officials, plural. Not one, not official. Officials. And so therefore, officials, what they taught me in school, officials once is plural, got to be two or more. Right now, you know what one, May Thomas, one government official. But if they say officials and repeat it several times, it cannot be a mistake. It's not a typo. They're talking about more than May Thomas alone. So let me see where that will go. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. CC, people emphasize officials. What could happen if this matter reached the court? Who giving this evidence? Go ahead, my brother. Let me hear you.
Let's say if by chance, a file goes to the DPP and the DPP do the normal, what we used to say in little by days, abna babno, and say this person be charged. But my one is, will they bring a Queen's Counsel out or King Counsel from Trinidad to prosecute, as the normal be to aid in the defense? And as you say, who is it? Who gonna give the evidence? Let's see. It's very, very interesting what really gonna happen, And like I say, I have no confidence in Suku, and I have no confidence in Suku bringing their own prosecutors to things, because no case submission and it finished there. But let's see what's gonna happen. Let's see what the DPP, the politically inclined DPP, is going to do. Because as far as I'm concerned, the DPP is more political than legal.
Yeah, well, one of the students asked the question, why they didn't sanction the other officials. Beth is asking that. Well, Beth is a good question. Why they did not sanction the other officials? I suspect it's because the other officials, even though they might have been involved in this criminal scheme, might not have been the masterminds. Might not have been, I believe they're trying to create the impression that the ones who are sanctioned are the principal perpetrators in this whole illegal and criminal corrupt scheme. That is my belief. That is my belief. That is what they're going to do. But we should be able to know who the other officials are. Because when they're talking about invoices and all of these things, as Mr. Conway said, this got to be a whole elaborate thing. Whole elaborate arrangement. Many agencies have to be involved. Because we talk about gold smuggling, it's the whole thing they're talking about bribing officials, talk about firearm licensing. It's only the police authorized to issue the firearm license, right? Talk about passport, same thing. Police issue passport. So we are going to air, and instead of giving cash and high value items and so on, we are going to air. Well, don't hold expectation. Don't get too excited, because this can drag until the 12th of never. This can drag until the 12th of never, when they see who the people are who are involved in this whole thing. Yeah, continue to share this life, March. Continue to share this life. I'm sure you will agree with me that this thing getting sweet. Give me the thumbs up. Give the thumbs up. Continue to share the live. We're not finished yet. And I got to remind you that to assist, I have to remind you, the numbers are there. Those of you who have Zelle, those of you who have Cash App, and those of you in Guyana who have MMG, please make your contribution for the upkeep of this program. You have said to me by your attendance and by your comments, either on the live or off the live, that you find this program very, very informative. We do work to come and bring you the credible information. I'm sure that some of the things that we have revealed to you this morning, you won't hear this anywhere else, because the propaganda press, of which there are many, can come and tell you they're going to spin the thing. They're going to spin the thing. But we come and we giving you it straight. We giving you it to let you know. And we said over and over, you are intelligent people. You are intelligent people, and when we bring the information to you, you are going to be able to analyze it for yourself. Because when we talk about this thing with the documents and files handed over and so on, yeah, let me understand. Files might be, I'm not sure. I'm sure it would have been handed over. But now you're going to have an investigation. And the investigation, if properly conducted, will now have to reveal all those other people who were involved in this corrupt scheme that led to the sanctions of the Mohammed and May Thomas, I must emphasize, and May Thomas, right? Now, next thing, saying on the Mohammeds. I saw over the weekend, one of the daily reporting, that the security license for the Mohammed has been suspended. The license has been suspended. You know, again, sanctioned in June. Shortly after, they intervene. They stop the thing that suspend or revoke. I don't know what's the correct word. Their Cambio license. So they can't do business in Guyana. June of last year. Last week. All these months after. And this is after a sustained attack by the vice president against the Mohammeds. The police decide now that they're going to revoke the security license and seize the firearms that were issued to this company. And so therefore, the first question, and it's a rhetorical question. It's a rhetorical question. Why only now? Why only now that they're going to revoke these license? And one of the things, because I know these people dunce, you know, they're very dunce. And as I think it was Melimel or somebody said, they dunce with an echo. Somebody said dunce, it echoes, it dunce with an echoes. But you know, I love research, you know, and I'm sure you guys on this program love when we do the research and we bring the information to you. If you recall, back in March, just over a year ago, he was a squatter extended then. I'm referring to the man who now heads the police force. He wrote to somebody Mohan, Chapter 3 Mohan, cancel the supernumerary status of the contracting, R1 contracting Guyana. He wrote on the 19th, I have the letter here, tell them that the license, the license for this company, cancel, you know, cancel. He wrote that on the 19th, and then on the 22nd, a couple of days after, another letter and cancel. He said The letter caption, let me go. You're going to laugh when you see this thing. The first one's caption, recancellation of supernumerary status, C1 contracting Guyana Limited. And then it said that the contract, the thing canceled. And tell you, yes, so much in the letter. But 3 days after, it come recancellation of supernumerary status. Reference the above subject. I wish to advise that my letter dated March 19, 2024 is hereby rescinded. So 3 days after the acting commissioner, as he was then, wrote to C. Mohan, contracting services, cancelling the security license. 3 days after, he rescinded that. What if he did like Appy? And he had matured consideration before he did a rescind. Now, they decide now that they're going to rescind the, he wrote to Mohammed to say that the security license has been suspended. It says, I think it's suspended the word. And then they have some period of time to respond to say why the suspension should not be made permanent. Now, I don't want to go into all the details here now because I don't have all the details. But I've said repeatedly, I was involved in the process of revoking firearm license and all that when I was a police commander. I remember I had interaction with a particular judge and I was advised how the process should go. I also had interaction with a senior counsel who is now deceased, and I was advised what to do to make sure that the thing can stand any scrutiny. And one of the first things that I was told, first thing, by the judge, who is now retired too, and by the senior counsel, who is now deceased, that you have to give reasons. You can't just say that, look, I am taking away your firearm license. You have to give them the reason why this action is being taken. And in the case, when they did the Mohans, no reason was stated. The law was quoted extensively. This is what the law said, this is what the law said. But they did not tell the people what violation was leading to the suspension of the license. And I don't know that they would have learned from that mistake. I don't know. So they have suspended the license of Mohammed. I think they collect all the firearms and all this everything. Let me see where that will go. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. I know he itching to talk on this issue as well because he spoke about it on several occasions. I showed that he wanted to talk about it again. CC, let me hear about this suspension thing, man.
Well, I hold no brief for the Mohammeds, eh? No brief for the Mohammeds. I don't even know them only by hearing about them in the press and things. So. But I always like to go back to the law, And I have before me the Private Security Act, the Private Service Security Act number 2009, Act number 32 of 2009. And here's what it says. I want to read section 4.2. And they talk about suspension of licensing. Notwithstanding any other provision of this act, a license shall not be approved, issued, cancelled, revoked, or suspended without the prior express written approval of the minister who shall be the licensing authority under this act. Let me go over. Notwithstanding any provision of this act, a license shall not be approved, issued, cancelled, revoked, or suspended without the prior express written approval of the minister who shall be the licensing authority under this act. Very clear. I saw a copy of the letter that was sent to the Mohammeds, signed by the Commissioner of Police in terms of suspension. And for me, if I go back to section 4.2, it talk about the minister is the licensing authority. So it's the minister has got to give the license. And if the minister give the license, it is the minister has got to revoke. The commissioner is what you call the controlling authority in this act. The controlling authority is in this act. And when there's a cancellation, I read the commissioner letter to the Mohammed. I say I'm not representing the Mohammed, but I believe in issues relating to law enforcement. And I've been commenting on them ever since. And I read what Commissioner write. He telling them about what are the powers, and when a thing is suspended or cancelled, what should happen in terms of the firearms being large and all kind of thing. I don't get time to go through all of that. But when I read what the commissioner wrote there, up to now, he has not indicated even in a sentence of what offense, what were the breaches committed by the Mohammeds. What are the breaches committed of the Mohammeds? And section 10 of this act lists a whole set of breaches from A to I. So at least I see none of them there was quoted by the commissioner. A to I talking about breaches where where firearms can be granted, it could be granted, and then what should happen as the case may be. So I listen and I watch, and then I know according to law that a person must be told in simple language, in language that he understands what is the offense he commit, in simple language, in language that he understands, and his Article 144B of the Constitution must be told in simple language, in language that he understands the nature of the offense he has committed. I haven't seen anything listed in that memo, in that thing that he can sign to the Mohammeds. And then again, too, when you look at it, the commissioner getting difficulty in putting a couple sentences together to make a paragraph. But then, by the way, he wrote a whole book. I'll stop there.
Well, that's an interesting observation. You can't write a couple sentences, sensible sentence, a paragraph, but you're writing a book. Well, there's got ghostwriters, There's got ghostwriters when you're writing book and so on. This thing is interesting. Do these people not seek advice? We read the law to you. CC read the law to you. And I know they have something called natural justice. You can't suspend, revoke. You should not. I say you can't. You should not. Without the people having an opportunity to be heard. However, this extended squatter that they have this commissioner can't regard to that. Even the complaints authority reported to the president that this man was disobeying the law. 2 consecutive years, the complaints authority did so, and they promote the man. So they must like that. You have the case, I will always refer to it, of Damian McLennan and those guys with the Quindon Bacchus murder. Damian McLennan, Simon, and the other guy, the Nabriga. The men who are charged, the Nabriga for the murder, Simon and McLennan for some other stuff, which up to now I can't understand. They appeared in court, I think it was on the 5th of July 2022, and this extended squatter dismissed them from the same date. So even though the Constitution guarantees them the presumption of innocence, they ain't operating in this book. That doesn't operate in this book. And the very Attorney General has commented several times about these illegal acts and the fact that when they commit these illegal acts, the state, we taxpayers, have to pay. But they're not doing anything to make sure that these things stop. They're not doing anything. So here you have a case where they're suspending the license and he's not following the law. The law spells out who can and what should happen. And as I've said, once you are going to take an action, I had a long discussion with a former judge and a former senior counsel. And they told me, right? Because, you know, sometimes you don't know it all. So that's why we share this experience. So look, if you're going to revoke a firearm license or even suspend, you have to ask the person to show cause. And you have to tell him in clear language why this action is contemplated. You have to tell the person, you have to, that is what this natural justice is. You have to let the people know so they get an opportunity to defend themselves. But these people believe power is absolute. So they get the power and the law says, oh, we're going to do that. But you are responsible to make sure that things are done in the proper manner. But not with these people, you know. All sort of craziness going on. All sort of craziness. And to the student who said they want to hear this matter, with this guy Lee. Lee is the man who was who made an allegation against the sheriff's security, where he claimed that he was tortured to make a statement because they claimed that he had stolen some bag containing money. The man, this is one of the subjects we should have spoken about since last week. I have the information here, but things are evolving so rapidly that it's getting pushed back. And we can't deal with it. We don't want to give half-pig duck, right? So we're going to deal with it, because if those of you who looked in the, would have seen the notification for this program today, we also said we're going to deal with this issue where PPP activists assaulting people, and the action by the police when these reports are made. There's something we got to deal with in detail. We're going to deal with that in detail. So forgive us. We don't want to start. We just have about 5 minutes more. We don't want to start something that we can't give you all the details. But I promise you that we are going to address that issue where the PPP activists assaulted the man on the quarantine. And then it would appear that she made a report. And what did the police do? Arrested the man who was assaulted. They arrested the person who was assaulted, and said later, when they realized that she's the one who assaulted the person first, they released him. But inappropriate police action, we're going to point it out. It's an inappropriate police action. And as I've said before, and we continue to say, in this silly season, the police will be critical in ensuring that things are done professionally. Whether it's a meeting you have to deal with under the Public Order Act. You know, I used to lecture on that. TC will tell you I was deemed the in-house expert dealing with public order, meetings and processions. Meetings and processions and what the law says. I hope that these sailors that they have for commanders now are going to be, at least it's then too late for them to try to get them, to teach them what the law says about meetings, possession, use of noisy instrument, and the power of the police, the power of the who is the chief officer of police. These are concepts, or these are things that they got to know, because once you come to silly season, all sort of things gonna happen. I had the experience. I had the good fortune. I was in charge of TSU 1992 when they had disturbance. Then in 1994, when they had local government election, I was the commander at West Demerara then. When they had elections in Borbis, I think it's 2001, I was the commander there. When they had elections in Georgetown in 1997 or what, I again was the commander in Georgetown. So I get the experience, I have the knowledge. But you get people around now, they believe they know it all. They're telling they've been to UG and they get a whole set of things behind the name. One get what you get? MBA. One get MBA. One telling you that you get MBA. And let me show you a different type of MBA. Different type of NBA. They get all kind of thing. I don't think I have the here it is. One get the MBA. And the MBA he got, what do it stands for? Mr. Brutus Accomplice. That is the MBA that he got. Mr. Brutus Accomplice. Folks, are addressing the policemen, senior ones in particular. You have got to make sure that you command in a professional manner. Because if you don't, things are going to escalate. Imagine then announce the election date yet. So the campaign has not officially started, and they get people assaulting people and all that already. Imagine what's going to happen when people start to put up posters and all of these types of things. When they start to hold political meetings and all of that. Imagine what's going to happen. Because as a little boy, I know, when you get political meetings coming up, political season, you used to go and get gang egg, you store up them gang egg, you look at all them foul pen, and you get gang egg. And it used to be a fun to show gang egg and then speaker when they're talking there. The last time I heard about gang egg being shown is in Pleasance. I think it was Roy and my countryman, Henry Jeffrey. They went to the meeting there, and somebody pelted the gang egg until the gang egg catch Clement. And then Clement had gone there. It is alleged that Clement had gone there in Jeff's car. And with all this thing that Jeff tell you, you can't come in here, you can't go down, you can't find some other mode of transportation to go and go. That used to be fun, but now I'm not advocating for those things, but that used to be the fun for us little boys. Gang egg, you go, you laugh, and you don't even know what they're talking about. You don't know which side, which issue they're on and which side. What you used to find fun to go and play gang egg when them was set up on political meeting and so on. That was fun. Let me bring in Mr. Conway for his closing remarks. And then we're gonna I'll give you all the therapy, man. Don't molest me, I'll get you therapy. CC, your closing remarks, please, my brother.
Just a follow-up to you, you know. These people are strategic, you know, forward thinking. Why you think they Indianize the command of the Guyana Police Force? Huh? Region 1, Indian. Region 2, Indian. Region 3, Indian. Region 4B, Indian. Region 4C, Indian. Region 6, Indian. And recently, Region 8, the one who was involved in a fatal accident on the Senewee, they scoot him away to Region 8. They put their people there. So when the supporters do nonsense, they will look after them on behalf of the party. That's why they do that. Election coming up. But let me jump right to something that, you know, very unpleasant. We had retired Assistant Commissioner Trotz, his cremation on Friday. We had a church service in Georgetown, cremation on West Demerara. And it was alarming. No proper police representation. 3 people come in short Jack come and sing a song. A mom load the last post. And nobody else of consequence. And it was well attended. The prison service, the deputy prison chief, pay, and another one paid tribute. He was in uniform to Welton Trotz. The chancellor of the judiciary was there. If even across West Demerara at the site of the cremation, a senior councillor and his wife were present, plus several other distinguished persons, both at the church and at the cremation, and no proper representation by the Guyana Police Force. And added to that, the office of the president, which is responsible because he's a national awardee, to display his medal there during the service. Nothing of the kind. And that's what been going on, where it's very senior officers who die and at the church service, they pay little or no respect for them. Little or no respect for them. An assistant commissioner who get a national award, no real police representation at the church service or at the cremation. While other persons, including the chancellor of the judiciary, was there.
That's really, well, should I say it's sad? Well, we have pointed it out before, you know. There's a protocol. Once a deceased person received a national award, during the course of the church service, a member of the Guardian Defense Force, a senior non-commissioned officer, is there. They have a cushion with the medal, and they stand there with that thing during the course of the service. We commented on it. Can we observe it wasn't being done? And that is a function of the protocol people at the office of the president, right? Vic Prasad never missed that. I don't know who is responsible for protocol now. Is it still Francis Abraham? But they need to look into it, because having spoken about it some time ago, I recall well when Clive Butts was during his funeral service, they had that there. The senior NCO from the GDF with the medal that he got. But falling standards. Now we talk about falling standards. It is sad. It is sad. These things mean a lot. Protocol and standards mean a lot. Now let me give you therapy. Therapy, and then I'm gonna close. Here we go. I can't not give you this.
Sit there and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jurong?
Su? Oh, Su? My relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes, yes, he is a friend of ours.
He claims.
You get your therapy. I give you a double dose today. Double dose.
You who are out there, if they come, we gotta shoot and scoot. And shoot good and scoot. And keep shooting and scooting until help arrives.
Shoot and scoot. You get double dose of therapy. You ought to get well having had that. Folks, we have come to the end of today. I know it was a very interesting day. We have a lot of stuff that left back. We're going to deal with that the next day. God Spare Life, where we come here on Wednesday, we're going to be able to continue from where we left off. We have many more things to talk about. And the way how things go between now and Wednesday, you might have other issues coming up. We might likely to have other issues coming up between now and Wednesday. So stay well. Again, accidents almost every day. You know, every time I think about that little 6-year-old boy who died recently, sit down outside his mother's stall in Charleston. Stray bullet hit him in his head. Now he's dead. I think he had his 7th birthday in January. He's dead. So he just called for you to be the wrong place at the wrong time. And something catch you, because a lot of madness, craziness going on. We have so much to tell you, and we're going to talk about it on Wednesday. We got to make sure we also address this new policy where they're supposed to give e-tickets. We have a lot to tell you about. I have a lot to tell you, students, so make sure you are in school. And let me caution you too, on your way to school, make sure that you avoid the concussion highway. We don't want you to be concussed. Make sure you're, especially when you're coming by Jumbie Board Circle, you got to be extremely, extremely careful. So, folks, God's willing, when we come next, God's willing, on Wednesday. I know this is the last day in the month. When we come back, we're there in April. When we come back, we're gonna be in April. So when we come in April, God's willing, see you then. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. Until then, bye.